Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fruitful Trees. And I just love going around and meeting people and checking out their yards. And if you are in the South Florida area or wherever you are, if you're growing tropical fruit trees, contact me. I'd love to come on out and meet you and film your yard if possible. But today we're in Homestead, Florida again, and I come here often. And we're at our friend Daniel's house. And Daniel told me he has a good amount of fruit trees. And then I was talking to Dee from Dee's Fruit Trees, who I had in a previous episode. And I said, where do you deliver a lot of your fruit trees to, a personal property? And he told me Daniel. So that's 2 times in like the same week. So I contacted him. I had to come out and check his place out. And today we're going to do that. And just taking a look at this place. He has a lot of trees. And I'm really excited about checking it out today. And I know you will be too. So remember, if you want me to come check your yard out, if you have a cool yard, contact me. But today we're going to check out Daniel's yard and we're going to see what he has. All right, everybody, here we are at Daniel's house in Homestead, Florida, and Daniel's going to show us around. Daniel, how long have you lived here?
I moved here about a year ago from East Coast, northeast. Sorry, we're on the East Coast. Yeah.
And how big's the property here?
It's about an acre.
So when you moved here, were there any fruit trees at all?
Just the big avocado and mango trees that you see there. One avocado tree was moved because it had the disease, and then it wasn't growing back properly, so we put coffee in instead.
So do you know what kind of avocado it is? Or
yeah, so that's a choquette, and then the Simmons is right next to it, smaller.
So you have a choquette and the Simmons?
Then I put in the Oro Negro. I've got 3 of them based off of your recommendation. But the one I got originally, the other 2 I got after you said they were the best ever. And then I saw them.
And what kind of mangoes are those that we hear?
That one is going to be, they call it a miracle mango. So it's supposed to fruit now and then also fruit in the summer. But I've only ever seen it fruit once a year. And that's an Edward mango. And these guys here, so the big one in the back is, I've got a list. Let me figure it out. None of these fruited last year because I cut them all. So this is going to be the first year I've tried them all. So we're looking at the Tipo mango over here that's flowering now.
Oh, that's the Tebow. Okay.
And then Bailey's Marvel is the big one here in the front.
Okay.
The Valencia Pride is behind it. And the Edward mango is right there.
Okay.
Smaller tree. And then to the side we have the Glen and Hayden.
Okay.
And
then what?
And then we have 3 that Dee just put in up front, which are the coconut creams and stuff like that.
Talk a little before we walk around here. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful new year.
The first question is, the previous owner labeled these mango trees, so they knew something about fruit trees, that they label them enough? Because most places they just say seedlings or they don't know what they were.
Yeah, so he didn't have much, but he loved his avocados and loved his mangoes, and he was friends at the time with the president of UF Agriculture, I believe.
Okay.
So when they got these new varieties in, new being however many years ago, he got seedlings and then grew them, and the property I think is 16 years old, so the trees are going to be anywhere between 10 and 15 years probably.
Now, are they seedlings or grafted trees?
I don't know that part. But I don't see, I mean, they're so big now, I can't really tell if there's a graft on them or not.
Okay.
But I'm guessing they were probably grafted.
Yeah, you could still tell, but he called them like by their name when he told you what they were?
Yeah, so he wrote out like a map and then listed all the trees with numbers and what they were, which was nice. The avocado that we had to pull out was a Russell long neck. So I ended up putting a baby one up front so that I'd still have it because I like the look of it. And then the Simmons is probably by far my favorite so far.
Okay,
but we'll see.
What's your goal here? You have you moved here, you bought an acre. Was your goal to plant fruit trees, and why?
So it started with a passion for orchids because my family always had orchids, and so I got the house because it had an orchid house, and then filled it up with kind of rare and exotic orchids. And I've always had the passion from my grandmother living in New York, having a garden in the back. And growing things, and then studied herbal medicine and studied different types of botanical techniques. And I wanted to create a fruit farm that was going to supply food on donation and that was going to be in Hawaii, but then didn't work out very much. And since Homestead, Florida is similar enough to Hawaii's weather, we found this property here, got it originally from the Orchids, and then started putting fruit trees in and say, no, I'm going to leave half the yard so the dog can run in and other things. And then it turned into, I'm going to make a full-on botanical garden. So I've sourced some of the rarest palms and rarest bamboos and some of the rarest fruit trees that you'll find anywhere. And then hopefully in 10 years when it's all grown, this will be a forest. And I'm taking kind of samples from Fairchild's rainforest exhibit, and we're going to put the misters in here and make it a very rainforest experience for me and whoever comes to visit.
It looks like your neighbor has an empty yard there pretty much.
Yeah.
Have you met them, and how do they feel about all the things you're planting here?
They just moved in. He's super nice. Not sure what they're going to plan to do with the yard yet, if he's going to build a giant shed or not. But when I came here, all the property straight through for acres is just all bare grass. So the wind would come whipping right through, and then I started building up little by little. And the other neighbor next door thinks it's funny because, you know, the roosters are running around and the chickens are running around, and they kind of have, you could see they're just digging their ditches and rolling around in the dirt.
Yeah, so they don't have fruit trees on both sides of you, right?
So the guy that lived here gave fruit trees over to them as well. So they planted some around the perimeter of their property. But this house, he used to be a city worker, so he kept everything very just plain and neutral.
Sure. And the ones that are on the perimeter of their house, are you able to get some of the fruit? Is it over your property?
Yeah, most of them are hanging over. The longan, though, which is a pretty large tree over there, she said it's never even flowered once yet.
Okay. So getting back to your trees here, so what do you want to do with the fruit?
The idea was to sell it to customers or Miami Fruit as like wholesale, like bulk.
Okay.
And I actually modeled a lot of this stuff off of Miami Fruit's website to see what was selling the best, and then picked those particular varieties when I kind of crafted the idea of this. But there's not enough to actually produce a tangible amount of money. So at this point, it's friends and family are going to get lots of fruits until I could figure out what else to do. The idea was always, I'm a veteran with the military, was to have like a place where veterans can come and get rid of stress and anxiety and kind of farm a bit and then keep what they have or donate to poor and needy families. But I haven't even gotten to the stage where I have enough for myself yet to consider that.
So you mentioned you have, tell us your avocados again over there.
So altogether we have the Ronnie and the Donnie, the first and the last. We have the choquette, which is the big tree there.
So you have a big choquette.
It didn't fruit last year because we topped all of the trees back here when I moved in. We have the Oro Negro next to it, and the Simmons, which is the tiny little guy that was blocked out by the Russell that was there. And then on the other side, I converted the sand volleyball court into a citrus garden, and then that's where I have the other two Oro Negros and the Ronnie sitting.
So why'd you plant two Oro Negros if you already have one?
Well, they're all AB flowers, and the Oro Negro is probably the best tasting, as you said, in general, but also the best tasting bee that you'll find around. So I figured, since I'm moving the avocados all over the property, I put bees in because we have a pollination issue, but things still aren't getting pollinated all that well. So the idea was have one Oro Negro here, one Oro Negro there with the other avocados, and then in the front with the other avocados, and spread them out so that they're all...
So just so you know, before we go around, that there are so many great avocados. Oro Negro is my favorite, but for late season, there are other ones as well. Right. Like good ones.
Yeah.
Like I just uploaded a video today about one. So
check
those out.
I just saw it. I haven't had a chance to
I don't have the
yet.
time. I wouldn't. You can get so many avocados off of one tree. Like I wouldn't plant two of the same kind just because you can get so many. You know? Right. But if you're giving them away or selling them, then I would. So that's a good idea. Yeah. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, mainly it's the pollination that I wanted to get for the others.
So walk us around. Show us your amazing place
Let's go this way first.
Okay.
I've got 30 varieties of bananas, 10 varieties of mangoes, and 7 varieties of avocado. palm trees, there's probably 50 or 60 types, and some are edible and some are not.
Great. So you got a good majority of your trees from Dee's trees, tropical trees, who we had on the show before.
The large ones.
Yes, the
all
large
the
ones.
large trees, and even some non-fruit. This is the lang lang, but it has an edible fruit, so he was able to get it for me. And then some of these I got from Home Depot as well, and some I got from him, and kind
So
of.
your goal
from
isn't
everywhere.
only to eat the food. You like good looking trees.
Yes.
Orchids and palm trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I ended up going for the bigger trees rather than letting them grow, just so that I could have some instant satisfaction, and then put the little ones next to it, so that it's kind of a timed approach.
Right. Okay. Show us around.
So a lot of these here I got between either D or Home Depot. Like that was from D, and the Key West lime here is so abundant, but I can't for the life of me get rid of the leaf miners. So they're just making the trees look a little bit ratty, but the fruits are delicious. And
it's growing nice.
I saved picking these so that you can have one when you're here.
Oh, thank you. What kind of orange tree is that?
This one is the they call it the natal orange.
Navel.
Thank you.
Navel. Yes.
Sorry.
Very nice.
New year, I'm not thinking right. We got Valencia as well.
And how old are these orange trees?
They've all been planted for about a year.
Okay.
Some of them came in 15 gallons. Some of them, I think this was a 45 in the middle when I got it. So when Dee was planting his original fruits here, he had, I believe, a woman that couldn't keep a lot of these navel orange trees from the grove that they had. So he was looking to sell some, and I picked up one since we were putting in these. And then those are the coconut that he talks so much about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You put 3 in, and then the red spicata next to it. I figured since they're all kind of red color that it would be good to have all of those pollinate together.
And how are you watering these?
None of the citrus gets watered. I do by hose if it's going to be really, really, really dry and hot. Like this summer was not wet. But other than that, the groundwater here is a couple feet down, and it's all oolite rock under here rather than sand, so it kind of wicks the water up and makes that's why I think the things grow so well here.
Okay. So what is this here? Oh, thank you. What is that here?
That is they call it a Barbie. And yeah, Barbie loquat. And it's supposedly from Israel. The fruit on here was really tiny last year, but the tree was also like halfway in a pot and kind of pulled out, so it didn't have a chance to really have roots. My friend that that owns the orchid shop, he grows one of these, and he says the fruits are really bigger than any of the other loquats that he's seen. So that's great. We've got every citrus that you can imagine type of fruit.
Is that a kumquat?
Yeah, the tree needs some love. This was actually a mistake. I didn't want one, but Home Depot gave it to me on my order accidentally, and I think this is what brought most of the pests in. So we're just making do. Didn't want it to go to waste.
Show us the coconut trees.
Sure. That's the American Mame.
Mame?
Yeah, the Mame Americana.
Okay. Now, what are you going to do with that spot? Because there's a big tree here behind it.
The idea is just to let things grow up and then take care of the taller trees that are behind it so that it can provide the shade while it roots. This had some issue because there's too much sand there, but it just came back, so I'm thinking that the roots got deep enough where it's got a water supply. And a peanut butter tree. And we have probably 25 cacaos on the property that are all fairly big, and then another 80 or so coffee trees. I think I can say that I'm the first coffee farmer in Florida.
What are you going to do with the coffee and cacao fruit?
Well, the idea was to sell it, and have cacao nibs and fresh homegrown Florida coffee, which doesn't exist yet. We'll see. It's just a little much for myself to take care of everything and then still have a job and work and then come home and have to take care of the animals and the dog and stuff. So it's a bit harder than imagined. That's an Indian jujube. I actually thought it was something else, so I planted it in sand, and I'll have to probably pull it up and move it, but it looks like it's happy there. We've got the red custard apple and the green sapote And then the coconuts over here.
Okay, so what is this?
Cacao. They're all labeled as yellow cacao that they sell here in Florida, but one just came up with red fruit, so I'm not trusting anything that was on the tags.
So what's your neighbor's tree behind it?
The neighbor's trees are different lychees.
Okay.
And then you'll see the other fruit there, the carambola.
And what's this tree?
Those are junk trees, but the previous owner loved landscaping ideas, so when he pulled the oolite rock out to put the pool in, he bonsai'd these trees on top of them to kind of give it a look.
Okay. And you're going to bonsai them out of here, right? You're going to get rid of them eventually?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's nice looking right there. The other one I don't like so much because it's kind of a nuisance.
So this here is a custard apple.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what variety?
I don't. This was another that was kind of given
that.
to me as just a custard apple.
Where'd you get it from?
D.
Okay. All right. So
we did get the
beautiful
San Pablo
tree
from Lara, though.
Great. You got a San Pablo?
That's just a little tiny one.
All right. That's a beautiful tree. It's already getting fruit. That's really nice.
Mm-hmm. I had to cut half of it off because it was getting way too tall.
Wow. And this one here was
a green sapote. So you
green
won't
sapote.
find them that big usually for sale, but D came through and really got it. So it
All
flowered a lot last year, and the fruit hadn't set yet. So hopefully this year we'll get to try it out.
And I'll put Dee's contact information below if anyone wants to get some trees from him. He's in South Florida. I'll put a link to the video I did with him as well. His nursery. So what is going on with your water here? Did you put that in?
That is an attempt to get some irrigation to the coffee, but it failed because the landscapers ripped it all up. So I am going to install hard tubes with rain heads that come over rather than the drip irrigation because it's not working too well.
So tell us
that palm tree actually nicked the pipe, and that's why that was all dug out when we planted this.
Okay, so tell us, these are the ones. These are the short ones.
This is the red spicata that has like the dark orangey red coconuts, and then these are the short, the dwarf Thai coconuts that have that rare coloration on them that makes them so expensive, rather than the green variety, which is less. But yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful trees. They get really bushy and full on the top rather than,
Have you gotten any coconuts off them yet?
Nope. They're just starting to show some trunk, which is great. They were probably about yay big when they were put in about a year ago. So
great.
Yeah, this one probably will have fruit too because it's getting pretty big.
Great. All right. What's in the pot here?
These are Oro Negros.
Oro Negros.
They were loaded with fruit, like really loaded with fruit, more than I expected when I got them. So I just kept them in the pot so I didn't lose that fruit when they were put in the ground.
So they're not in the ground yet?
No.
Great. Okay.
And then you'll see that I pulled a lot of rare palms from Madagascar that grow in white sand to kind of give this a little bit more shade because it's a little bit too hot here for the citrus in the sun in the summer.
What's this here?
You have your Hayden and Glen mangoes.
Oh, there's the Hayden and the Glen mangoes. Up there. Right there. Okay, those are big. Okay, they're flowering actually.
What were you going to ask for?
What is that behind you?
This is the Rani.
Oh, that's the Rani. Okay.
Yep, and there's one on it. And
oh wow, look how small that tree is, and he already got a fruit. That's amazing. That's amazing. How long have you had this tree?
Just about a year. I think it was planted in January.
Excellent. Do you give any fertilizer to the trees?
I do. I use diamond fertilizer because they're just down the street. They're not organic, so I need to try and shift once the things are acquainted here to this type of ground and all of the limestone that's here. So it's a bit more difficult.
Show us some more stuff you got.
But this is a seashore palm, and they have these clusters of fruits that come out, and they taste like a pina colada. They look like candy corn, and they taste like pina colada.
Wow. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. We've got all different papayas here. I'm not the biggest papaya fan, though these are some really good varieties, and then they're treats for the chickens. But this one here is really interesting because it doesn't look like other papayas. It's called a Thai golden papaya, and they stay really short like that.
Got a whole bunch of bananas here, huh?
Oh yeah. On the other side of the orchid house is where all the more exotic type of bananas are, like the praying hands and the thousand fingers and all the other kind of weird types of bananas.
And what are all those?
These are just regular edible bananas, but they fell over in the previous hurricane that rolled through.
Got you.
And then some other plantains over there that are hit or miss. Just be careful where you step. Some of these. And this here is
Loquat?
allspice.
Allspice, wow. Oh, that smells beautiful.
Yeah,
it looks like a loquat tree.
The tree is the tree gets gorgeous. So the bark peels off, so it's all white on the inside.
That's a big tree. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's big.
That has probably been here for 15 years, I'm guessing.
Wow, very beautiful. Smells great.
That's the orchid house.
Orchid house. Wow.
So the idea also in the back, keeping it edible, is putting the vanilla orchids all over the wood beams and letting them kind of take over the inside here, and then having fresh vanilla with your chocolate. The breadfruit did pretty well, considering how cold it was here. I mean, it was still warm compared to most of the other parts of the East Coast, but they did get some brown on their leaves. The rambutan didn't get affected at all. So the things that got hit the worst were the sour sop, which
where's your
lost all their
rambutan
leaves.
tree?
Right here.
Okay. How long have you had that?
A year. So
where'd you get that from?
It was from D, and it came as a little baby tree.
I think you're the first person I've seen growing rambutan.
I think Zane.
Oh yeah,
one
that's
too.
right. He had one.
I haven't seen it, but he mentioned
there.
it in your video.
Yeah.
So then this here had a beautiful rack of praying hand bananas, and on the very first tropical storm we had this year, that was the only thing that got destroyed. The weight ripped it in half, so cut it down. The one thing that the banana specialist will tell you is that when people cut down their banana trees, they usually cut them down here. But he said cut them halfway because it's all just water and energy that still gets replenished through the roots and the other system. So tip for anybody.
Why is that?
It all shares the same system. So when you cut it completely down, all that water and energy is just waste at that point. If you cut it halfway, then it can, as you could see, it drains it from that centerpiece and uses it to help the other shoots.
Interesting. So what's this big empty tree behind you?
These are those, they're probably screwed all up, the Florida native gumbo limbo trees.
Got you.
And they provide pretty good shade for the cacao and other things that are underneath it. These here, the wind came right through this area, so they're more affected than the other cacaos. But we have the red cacaos in the back, the orange in the middle, and these are mostly all yellow back here. You'll see the Namwa bananas that are all fully racked, and the ice cream bananas also in the back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm waiting because I hear that Namwa is probably one of the better tasting of the bananas in all of them. They're just too small for Chiquita to use.
Yeah, they're excellent.
Though there's good thought that this will be the next Chiquita banana, and that is the gold nugget. I had the little tags here. I forgot now what it is.
Okay.
But yeah, that has a medium-sized banana that's very delicious. This is the first part to the rainforest of the new botanical garden I'm building. So everything back in here is going to be ultra tropical 11, zone 11 palms, and then all the sour sops, which are all the ones that you'll see. Most of the sour sops that I have, other than the few that I just got from Laura Farms, which is the Miami and the yellow sour sop, are all going to be Whitman's or Cuban fiberless, just because it sounds like it's going to be a better fruit, though nobody really has tasted one to tell me if it is good or not. But more importantly, even if the fruit is not good, they have really beautiful blue leaves that are very different from the soursop kind of green leaves. So it looks nicer in kind of a tropical environment. And we'll just walk through here. These are all palms, but we'll come around the other side where we have the bigger trees. Just watch your step through here. These are all the palms that you'll see in the conservatory over at Fairchild. So we have pomegranates, and after speaking to Julie and Laura, he was telling me, because these get really kind of black and rotted at the base. So he recommended this. I think it's a Vietnamese variety that deals with the humidity better. It's a lot more thorns. An olive tree. The great thing about Homestead is that the soil is really good quality and the oolite drains all the water, so you can have more desert-based plants, and all they have to do is deal with the humidity in the air. Because I can pour water and just hold it here, and it'll just drain straight down, and it won't pool up at all. This I just moved, so it's looking a little ragged because it was in the front of the house to the back. But
what is it?
it's the jackfruit. So this is the black gold. That's the J31, and then the orange crush is the little one over to the side.
Okay, there's a black gold jackfruit. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The bigger one there is the black gold. And then if you walk around this way, these tags on them. They're just little berries that are supposed to be really healthy as far as like a superfruit goes. And then this guy here is the Balimbi. It got a little cold damage, as well as all the leaves fall off the sour sops. They did last year as well, and then they all grew right back, so I'm not overly worried about it. This is the one that had the red fruit on it that was labeled yellow. So you'll see some of the cacao here. It's got some really big, nice fruits. Some of them got a little damaged in the cold, but for the most part, it's doing pretty well. This is the first real production on these trees as well, so you'll get some that die even without the cold because they're still too small. And then these were little tiny trees last year when I planted them. These were the first ones to go in the ground, and now they've become pretty big. They will also grow all their leaves back. The three big ones in the back there I got from Redlands Nursery, and I planted them like 2 weeks before we had the cold flash of February, and they dropped all their leaves and then came back bigger and beautiful, more beautiful than ever. And most of the yellow cacao I have here, it's self-pollinating, but they make these little pods that have little seeds in them. They're not really great for making chocolate. Here. So another thing that Dee was able to do was get me some really amazing lipstick palms to go against the black backdrop of the black bamboo, so it's a nice contrast. Here specifically though, and it was my dream to do it, and it actually worked, so it's kind of shocking, but all of that is black pepper. So you'll see like the kind you get in the grocery store. It's all growing here, and the idea was to cover the shower outside with the black pepper vines, and they're growing much bigger than they're supposed to and much faster than they're supposed to. And you can tell that there's a lack of nutrients because they're more acidic loving plants and they're growing on limestone, but hey, they're doing it.
Yeah, so we got to show everybody the palm tree in your pool. It's amazing. This is great. So no, a palm tree didn't fall in his pool. It looks like it, but he has a picture of a palm tree painted in the bottom of his pool.
It's actually, so the guy that owned this house was a mansion builder in the Keys, so all of the stuff that he got was from people didn't want at their properties when they were building, and he carved all of that as little pieces of colored stone and laid it all into the tiles, and he did a really superb job.
Wow, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, these are also zone 11. They actually held up really well in the cold. And then I guess we can see it over here better than in front. This was a breadfruit tree that was a cutting from one of Dee's
Where?
breadfruits. So it goes all the way up now.
Wow.
Looks like the cold got the better of a little bit on the bottom, but it will pull right through that. We'll just come out this way and go out front. This is the replacement for pepper. It's said to make people lose weight, and it's part of the ginger family, so it smells real nice too.
So we didn't cover stuff back there, did we?
That's where we started.
Your noni we didn't cover.
No. We kind of walked in the other direction.
Yeah, I saw a noni here.
These coconut trees, and we've got like I collect a lot of the Eugenias and the others. This is the Araza fruit.
Okay.
It flowers and then the chickens pick them off, so they haven't really gotten a chance to hold yet. But these three coconuts, they're called king coconuts, not to be confused with the royal palm. And they're really large orange coconuts that have the highest nutritional value of all the coconuts in there. So they use the water as medicine on the island that they grow on. And then we've got the grumachamas here in between, and the patomba tree in the back, which is actually extremely large. That's what makes Dee so great, is he finds those really hard to find fruit and then gets you the largest tree that you could possibly imagine. But this turned out to be one of my favorite fruits ever. You just pop them in your mouth, and
Yeah.
that
so
tartness.
Fruits really well.
Yeah. The whole tree covered once, and then it doesn't get a lot of water back here, but now that it's rooted more, I think it will, because it's supposed to, I think, fruit 2 or 3 times a year.
Wow. What's that called?
Patomba?
Patoma, yeah. That's very good.
Mm-hmm.
They taste like lemon head candy, right?
No, they
No.
taste like a tart apricot, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
So there's not a whole lot of flesh on them, so it would make an excellent juice. And then these two
These bananas here.
are the tallest bananas in the world. That's the sabah. I can't remember the name of this one, but they'll get to about 25, 30 feet tall. And supposedly the sabah has great tostones.
Well, you must like work. Why do you got such tall trees? Because they're going to be hard to get the fruit.
I'm just letting it grow like a natural jungle.
Got you, got you.
As it
There's
would.
noni. Check this out, everybody. The vomit fruit.
You can use the leaves as well. I believe the women on the islands use it to wrap the meats and other things that they cook.
Do you like
stew it
noni?
in. I grew up with it. I don't know if anybody likes it. But my grandmother used to always take it, the concentrate, in like spoonfuls, and she's still alive today at 93. So.
How'd you grow up with it? What do you mean? Where'd you grow up?
We'd always order it from like Fiji, the bottles, and
yeah.
take spoonfuls of it when we were sick.
So you got a tree now. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. And you got, how many coffee trees did you say you had?
I think there's 85 total on the property.
85 coffee trees on the property all around.
The ones here in the front, you'll see, look really sparse, and that's because it was too hot and too sunny. So I've put all the palm trees and the bamboos in between to give it shade for next summer. The ones in the shade did really, really well, with the exception of the cold, which got some of them, but it will grow back.
And how are you watering all these trees here?
Everything here was drip, but
Sure.
the drips got all messed up.
That's right. Okay.
They got the people would come through and not really pay attention, and then rip them out.
Got you.
So right now it's probably just spraying everywhere.
Got you. All righty.
And then this I went up to visit Zane after I saw your video,
Oh, great.
and he had the breadfruits. Those are called ma'afala breadfruit, and they're Hawaiian based, and that's why they grow here well in Florida. But this one looks like another variety. He didn't know what it was, but I figured I would take it for a test ride.
Find out, yeah.
Yeah, the leaves are very different, so it's definitely something different. Just
Nice.
not sure what exactly.
All right. Well, I'm glad to see some of the videos are getting people out to the nurseries, so that's good.
This is an accident, but these two, when Dee brought all the coffee trees over, I literally bought every coffee tree that was in the Redlands that was available. And then these two were little coffee trees that were available. So they've actually doubled in size since last year. But they ended up having yellow berries versus the red berries. What makes it super interesting is the yellow berries actually have like tropical punch or almost like a mango flavor to the berry, whereas the others kind of taste like a sweet pepper, like an overly sweet pepper. If I can find one of the berries to let you try here. They're a little out of season now because they ripened up a while ago, and then the cold affected it as well.
There's a yellow one here.
Yeah, try that one. I don't know if it's going to be sweet or
So
bland.
most coffee berries are red, right?
Right. They have some that are yellow and some that are orange. They're more of like a specialty crop.
Interesting.
And then you'll see back here.
Pretty good.
Again, Deke came through with a. Sometimes he comes up here with his truck when he delivers trees, and he's like, "Oh, I just had this deal from this person that's had this, this, and that." So he put in a miracle berry tree that's the size of me.
Nice.
It needs to get more water back here as well. Things don't get watered right under this tree much because it sucks all the water up. And then all of these cacaos I grew from seed about 2 years ago from Hawaii.
Alrighty, so now we're going to head out front.
This whole center area is going to be dug out and have like a waterfall pond. And the water table is 6 feet down, so if I just dig 6 feet through that oolite rock, then all the water will be natural and it won't need to be pumped in.
You say that so like easy. If I just dig down through this rock.
They have machines that do it, so just a process that costs money. Everything costs money. But what's nice is the water. The reason why the plants do so well here, they didn't this time because it was cold for too many days in a row, and the ground started to get cold. So the new plantings are the ones that have the roots towards the top, tended to chill, and you'll see a lot of the bananas got more affected now than they did when it was even 38 degrees in February, because it hit 38 and then bounced right back to 70 the next day, whereas here we were at 40 for 3 days straight, and it didn't really get above 50 or 55.
Now, what's this growing up this tree?
That's called golden pothos. From my understanding, it takes probably 10 or 15 years to get that high. Those are your tropical plants that people will collect and grow inside the house as a little viney plants. They get monstrously big.
All right.
So we've got here kind of the rose family. You got the rose apple, the Malay apple, and then the cherry of the Rio Grande, which when I was at the Fruit and Spice Park was one of my absolute favorites. The acerola cherry is more sour and bitter, but that one actually tastes like a cherry. A cinnamon tree behind you that's going to grow up. I had to get rid of the big one I had in Washington, D.C. because it couldn't fit in the car and the movers didn't have room for it. So hopefully that found a good family. We've got, in the back, we didn't see it, but the white sapote, and next to the white sapote was a butterscotch sapodilla that was really large.
Wow, what kind of white sapote?
That was the one that we weren't sure of.
Okay.
I think it's a Redland.
Okay. And we had you had a butterscotch sapodilla there?
Yeah, right next to it. This is a Hassia sapodilla. I found out last year when I tasted the fruit for the first time. I'm not a huge fan of it, but what I did is I mashed it up and made oatmeal raisin cookies and used that in place of like the sweetener. So it actually worked out pretty well, and it kept them moist like a brownie. This has got a mite issue, but these are the two lychee trees. One's Hakip and one, I'm not sure the other off the top of my head and which ones are which. But there's an emperor lychee that was just put in on the other side, and that's the true dwarf lychee tree. These two trees here, 1 and 2.
Are these all coffee?
No, these are just palms that are going to provide like a fence.
Got ya.
These two are the mamasillos, the little lemon drop fruit, and they're normally not self-pollinating, but this particular variety is. Just don't know I don't know if it has a name, but it's just it's the one that Laura I think sells as well of the You got a spider right there hanging from your camera.
Okay.
Most of these are going to be your more super rare, either extinct or critically endangered palm trees that aren't really fruiting, but just the other things here that you'll find in Cuba and others through Central America. And then you have, I believe this is buttercream.
Buttercream mango?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that on the corner? That was here? Anything special?
Those two are orchid trees, so they just have flowers. They look kind of ratty now, and then in the summertime they'll green up and flower with white, really beautiful jasmine-scented flowers. This one here is my favorite so far, the sugarloaf.
Sugarloaf mango.
So it actually tastes like coconut, but if it's unripe, it doesn't ripen fully. So on one side it will taste like pineapple, and on the other side it tastes like coconut.
Wow. Yeah, it's a great mango.
And then the Irwin mango over here.
Irwin mango? Okay.
Yep. So the Irwin is the same. It's a red mango that Japan sells for $80 a pop because they carefully baby it, so it's not going to look like that. But the Irwin I put here, and behind you is a Thompson red avocado. So that's going to be a red avocado with the red mango up front. And then here's your Donnie and the new Russell, the little ones.
There's the Donnie. Okay. And there's the Russell.
In the back, you'll have your red jacata or hog plum. You've got, you just did an episode on this one here. The name is escaping me.
Peanut butter fruit? No.
No, it's the yellow fruit. That's not dry. The one that you liked a lot. Came out like 4 or 5 episodes ago. And Laura was talking, when Julian was talking about it. I can't think of what it is.
Yeah, this case went mine.
It's not the egg fruit, it's the, not the
the
Castel.
Rosapote.
Yeah, thank you,
The Rosapote, okay.
Yeah, and that's the Emperor Lychee here. It's funny that the smallest tree creates the largest fruit. And we'll see if it fruits this year, or if any of them fruit this year, because they're all still young.
And these big trees with the vines, you got 3 of them in your front, okay.
Yeah.
Very nice, man. Very nice.
Yeah. And then we've got a bunch on the side.
All right, show us what you got.
So we've got the variegated Monstera up here.
Okay.
And the Fuyu persimmon that's a bit ratty over there, right behind it. And then here we have the pumpkin spice mame.
All right.
I've got 2 Key West mames in the back
That's the pumpkin
that we didn't see.
spice. And then there's 2 Key West in the back.
Yep.
Okay.
This one will stay dwarf as well. All of the Hawaiian coreless varieties of pineapple, so the ones that are edible straight through. They're also sweeter and not as tart, so that's good. This is the kind of the Annona family group here. And we have the Abayu, a red Alama. This was kind of an unknown variety of just a sugar apple. And this is a Cherimoya. Then we have the Geffner. I can't remember the name of that. A Chacharu.
A Chacharu,
Yeah.
okay. Where's the Geffner?
The Geffner's right here.
Geffner, okay.
Yeah, as you'll see, the 2 soursops that I just bought from Julian, I planted them after the cold, so.
Okay.
You got your Miami here, the yellow here. This was an unknown variety.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's probably something of the Miami variety or giant. Rollinia, the black sapote. So we've got black, green, and white. And then your, what is the name of this here? Indian gooseberry. So it's more used for
Now, when
medicine
you planted
than
these
edible.
here, what was that? That's in Miami. Did you think about the space? Because these are really close.
Yeah. Those 2 I just planted there. I wanted to pollinate this tree because none of the flowers were setting.
Okay.
When I was at Julie and Laura's farm, all of his soursops are about that far away under the tarp area, and they're big, beautiful trees. I think the important part is to just not let them get too out of control.
I was more talking about the black sapote here and the Rollinia right there.
This is a dwarf variety, so it's going to stay shorter, and the Rollinia was actually this big not even a year ago, so that thing is skyscraping.
Okay, all righty. Well,
but somebody told me, you've done some episodes. I think there was a younger guy that had like a small yard that was just totally filled with everything. The idea behind that, though, is everything's going to grow like that naturally in a forest. So the roots all share nutrients with each other eventually, and it all is one symbiotic system rather than, you can look over across the street, you have an avocado farm there, and they've got the trees interspersed with each other. The good thing is, though, if something came here and attacked, let's say, the soursop tree, then only this one's affected, but not the other ones that are in there, and the other diversity around it also kind of help protect that, keep other things away from it that normally would be attracted to, say, a huge grove of avocados.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for showing us around.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out.
All right, everybody. That was Daniel. I told you his place was amazing. I'm so glad we got in touch, and he had a lot of cool stuff here. I'm looking forward to coming back here in the future and seeing how everything grows together and coming to his little rainforest. That pool was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I don't really like swimming pools in personal houses because I'd rather plant trees there personally. But to have a pool with a tree carved in the bottom, that was cool at first, and probably the only pool like that around. That was great. But everybody, like I said, if you want me to come check your yard out and your trees and maybe have you on a possible episode, please contact me. The link's below or just in the description. I'll put my email. You can contact me there. But Daniel's place was great. This is in Homestead, Florida. Great environment to grow. And I'll be back here in the future with a follow-up. And until then, everybody, I hope you liked the episode. Remember to like and subscribe. And until then, everybody, keep growing.